Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see everybody here this afternoon. Today, Patrick and I are going to go through this webinar today about excuses. We found this one little shot here about nobody is impressed with how good your excuses are. So we're going to talk about excuses people use for not starting a business, very much in particular about a medical billing business. Well, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Eric Auger. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at American Business Systems, and certainly want to welcome everybody here. And next slide we're going to come to is to make sure that we are heard today. So for those that can, if you'll click on that little hand right there and that icon, as Ann has already done, there's a few people that has already done that. Doris, good to have you. Carrie, good to have you. Looks like we got Sala, Scott, Vinod, Linda, Ken, Kimberly, Fred, good to have you. And if you need to, there's our phone number there at that 514-363-0079, and then use that access code right there. All right, so now that we know that you can hear us, we want to make sure that we hear from you. Now, towards the end of the webinar this afternoon, you will come across and notice that they're in the question area box there. There's a place there for you to type in your questions there. So we want to hear from you. So when you get a moment, please do that, and we want to answer all the questions that we can for you. Well, first of all, we want to get started off and let you know, for those first timers that have been on here today, we want to talk to you about who is American Business Systems. We've been around for 20 years. We are the nation's largest group of independent medical billers, have been doing that now, again, certainly for over 20 years. We've been helping people just like you for over 20 years. These are actual licensees that are with their families, or they've just come out of training, or if they're just right there in their office and with their office staff. We wanted to show you that we are working with people, again, just like you, and have been and want to continue to keep working with people just like you. If you haven't been out to our website, we want to take you there to absystem.com. There you'll be able to find a lot about us there in our section about us, about the business package. Actually, Patrick and I will be talking about the business package today. So you're going to want to go to our website there. You can give us a call at 866-565-8413. And then we really want you to dive deep into our virtual brochure. You do that by clicking on one of those orange buttons, either request more info or start here. And that's going to get you to this section. How you get clients, about training, about support, about technology, and for those that are ready to move forward, the final steps. And each one of these sections have subsections in them that have videos and a lot more information. It talks about all the things, even how to prepare to some degree about proposals and everything. We want to also talk with you today about our award-winning billing and medical records platform, iClaim and EMRX. If you missed a webinar that we did several weeks back, we actually did one on the award-winning platform of both iClaim and EMRX. So you might want to go back over there and go through that and listen to that. A lot of people ask us about the Better Business Bureau and where they can find real information about who we are and a particular rating. Go out to the Better Business Bureau. You can check us out there. We got an A+ rating and still maintain that. And for those that are looking seriously about getting into this business and you'd like to come by and visit with us, please jot down our address here at 5751 Kroger Drive here in Keller, Texas, which is just north of Fort Worth. You would want to fly into the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and we can certainly make some arrangements there to pick you up and have you come over to our facilities there. Again, we've got a training class that's just coming up in a few weeks, May 19th through the 23rd. Folks, this is just a few weeks away. Actually, I think less than maybe 2 weeks away now. It is at a Spring Hill Suites Marriott, very nice hotel. They've done a lot of updating there. So if you are looking forward to come to this class, because again, there is no June class. The next one is actually after July the 4th. So please mark that down on your calendars. Let me introduce you to our founder and CEO of our company, Patrick Phillips. Patrick is author, has written a couple of books, and I understand from his past vacation that he just got back off of, he's actually in the process of writing another book. But these two you can find on Amazon, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success, and the other one, Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. Folks, this Cash Crunch to Cash Flow book is really a part of your marketing pieces that you'll get from our business package once you become a licensee of ours. Not only is he just an author of books, but he is a writer for BC Advantage, which is the Billing and Coding magazine. This is the largest magazine that goes out. It usually goes out on a bi-monthly portion of it, and you can see his last article is still here, April and May of 2014, How the Affordable Care Act Will Help Your Billing Business Thrive. So pick up a copy of that. I'm sure you can find that article online. So folks, without any other ado, Patrick and I are going to get this thing started. So, Patrick, good to have you here this afternoon.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate you putting this webinar together. We talk about this a lot. We hear excuses from various people who have been on these webinars for, sometimes months at a time. And,
Right.
We encourage them, of course, to do their due diligence, research it, find out if this is for them. And they'll come up with some excuses. So we thought we'd just kind of compile all those into one webinar and cover all of those that we've heard over the past few years. And top 10, we call it the top 10. So where's Dave Letterman? We got to get him in there.
I couldn't find one of those flashing animation parts that would come in and go 10, 9. I couldn't find that, but we'll do with just the stagnant picture here. But again, as Patrick says, I mean, we could have gone through several different ones, and really, Patrick, I don't know if they're more excuses than they are just concerns. So, folks,
Sure.
However they roll into your play there, whether you feel like it's an excuse or whether you feel like it's a big concern, that's what we're going to be going through. And then again, as we go through, as Sala has already done, we want to make sure that you type in your questions. If we feel like you type in a question that we know that we're going to answer, just hold on. You'll see that question come up here and hopefully how to answer that. So, Patrick, let's talk about this first excuse about the economy. I know that you kind of dive into that quite often about the economy here.
Yeah, we hear a lot about it on the news, of course, constantly. Depends on which political party you're siding with as to whether it's good or bad. But the point is that people are concerned about that, and some people put that off. So I thought we would address that by kind of addressing what happens in bad times. The main thing that I came up with is one word. It's called disruption, because it's the disruption that happens during a bad economy that causes sometimes good things to happen. For example, here's some good things.
Right.
It means change, right? Every time you hear something's being disrupted, it means things are going to change. And when things change, of course, that means that is opening up opportunities for people who have the foresight to look at it as, oh, wow, this is something I could grab a hold of and maybe make some money with. And of course, entrepreneurs are those people who seize those opportunities. That's what makes them entrepreneurs.
So let's see what some of these that you brought up before, and let's start talking about this first one here.
Yeah, I love this old flyer that we got back from, oh gosh, I forget what year this was, but way back. It's for IBM. Yeah, IBM actually started during the time when there was a huge need for machines like this that would automate things. But guess what? They started this business during something, a very important part of our history, which I'll bring up as we cover all these. Here's the next one here. This is Procter & Gamble. And of course, everybody knows Procter & Gamble is the big soap company that makes just about everything in the grocery store. This is the first Ford, so obviously Ford Motor Company is included in this one. And then this is another one here, Toll House Cookies, just one of my favorite cookies. These companies all have one thing in common. And Eric, you know what that is, of course.
They did. They do. They all started either in the midst of a recession or during a depression. And it's amazing, Patrick, that they talk about that when there's a necessity thing, that is the mother of all inventions. And so a lot of times when people see a disruption in the economy or they see a need because of what the economy's doing, they step on that. And I think a lot of times for people trying to get their business started, they'll use and they'll say, well, let's wait until the economy improves. And again, that's kind of what you were talking about here about excuse number one.
Yeah, and again, we, like you pointed out, Eric, these are not necessarily just excuses. They really are concerns of people. But folks, we went and weathered the whole, from 2008 through 2010 or whenever that was, that we really had a real downturn in the economy. We as a
Right.
company prospered, and most of our licensees increased their business during that period of time, because the nice thing about this business is we're dealing with the doctor's cash flow. And when his cash flow slows down in a bad economy, it means he needs even that much more help. So they're more apt to actually sign up during a slowdown in an economy, which is a good thing
Yeah,
for our licensees.
exactly. I'm so glad that you didn't listen. And I know we have to have them. We all probably have one or two of them, our attorneys, but I'm certainly glad you didn't listen to your attorney and start to shut things down here. Because seriously, we have every year just increased, and profits are good. Profits are good for our licensees. So, folks, this really is a good opportunity. And as we know, Patrick, there are. I mean, we've done webinars before about what makes this economy good. I mean, there's people going into the Medicare part of medicine, and the baby boomers, they're getting older, and I forgot how many people actually going into Medicare every day.
10,000 baby boomers. In other words, 10,000 Americans turn 65 and are then, of course, eligible for Medicare. So 10,000 per day.
Per day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's first of all, folks. That's excuse number one that we've kind of talked
Hey, Eric,
about
let me
here.
just say this too,
Yeah.
and to be quite upfront with people about it, our business during the 2008 turn down actually did do some downsizing. We actually found smaller offices. We had to lay off a couple of people. We tightened our belts. That's what a smart company does. So that the ship doesn't sink, you throw some of the luggage overboard. Hate to put it that way, but that's what happens. So we did do some of that. But the thing is that we didn't yet let that be an excuse for us to shut down the company or go out of business. What we did was we got smart, and we did the smart thing. And that's why people during a tight economy have to find a business that really is something that appeals to people during down times. And of course, when it's good, it's even better for everybody.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, you just got to look at the trends. And Patrick, I know that we're going to take a look at those trends coming up here with another question here just shortly. But another is that people just don't seem like they've got enough money to start a business. Now let's kind of talk about that, because I know it kind of goes along with the cost of getting into any business, and then especially ours. We pretty much know what the cost is going forward there. But let's talk about what you've seen about people not having enough money to start a business. I mean, you've been there. How many businesses have you started?
I lost count. My wife says I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I did start a lot of businesses. In fact, during the live training workshop, Eric, as you know, I've been sharing some of my story just so people can realize that I didn't inherit wealth. I didn't make my money, from my parents or having some perfect situation, silver spoon type situation. And I did fail in business several times. I was just reading a book here recently that I'm going to actually kind of do a webinar on for our licensees that has to do with failure. A lot of people don't realize that many, many people who are very successful in business, and you know their names, all had failures. In fact, I'm convinced that failure is a part of success. And so that's not a bad thing to have gone through failure. It just makes you even stronger and more determined to be successful. And the money, I did spend a lot of money starting up various different businesses. I lost some money. It turns out that I just didn't give up. I kept working and looking at what businesses worked. And then when my wife started doing medical billing, it just worked for us. So, in fact, you're showing credit cards there. That's funny, Eric, because I didn't realize you were going to show that. My wife and I actually financed the start of our medical billing business using personal credit cards.
Right.
You'll see that that's very common in today's business world. It's an easy way to find credit if you've got some credit on your credit cards, and even using one or two or three, whatever it takes to put together your funding is fine. If you see a return on that investment somewhere down the line.
Correct. And then people can actually use their 401k, and I know a lot of people actually talk about, well, I know that if I switch jobs, I can probably use that 401k, but really we have a company that can actually help with that, and that's Guided Financial. And we actually have a special web URL site that they can go to that is just for ABS licensees only. And you would go in there and you'd fill out this information. And depending if you want to use your 401k or if you're actually looking for a business loan or even with credit cards, this is really a great place. And Patrick, as we go to this next screen, um, I'm going to show everybody where they can go look for that on our website. So why don't you talk about where they can find this funding resource here on our website?
Yeah, it's under the business packages there. Eric's going to point to it there, and you'll see it's right there. Yep. And if you go to that, you'll see that you'll find out that there's a funding resources tab under that. And then we actually list the websites and have some links directly to those. Don't forget, folks, your home equity, of course, even if you have an automobile that has equity in it, some banks are willing to loan against that because that's something, of course, that they could repossess. Remember, they're always looking for something tangible to take back if you don't pay a loan. But those are available. And don't forget that there are friends and relatives who, if you showed them this opportunity and let them watch some of the webinars, maybe invited them to a demo that we'll talk about a little later, a live demo of our system, they might even be willing to invest with you. They could be the money partner. You put in the sweat equity, the labor, and they put in the money, and you can become partners in the business too. We've had that happen many, many times.
Exactly. And so, folks, not only can you get some funding resources here, you can actually go here. We've got a place where you can look up your credit. And, you know, most of these sites that we have listed below require you to have at least a credit of 620 or above. And so if you do get that, go fill out that pre-qualification form there at Guidant, and then you can see here that they'll be able to assist you to roll over that 401k and avoid a lot of those penalties and things that you would actually get from the IRS trying to get involved with your 401k. So certainly you can do that. And in the meantime, if those options are not available, Patrick, we've had people literally be on some of our webinars for 2 or 3 years, and they've saved and put that money aside. And I remember, if I can remember correctly, we've actually had a couple of people, put it aside on a monthly basis and then paid us in big chunks until they got that business going with us. So
sure. That locks in the price.
There's all sorts of different kinds of ways you can certainly do that.
Yeah, Eric, as you know, the price on our package, our investment price, has gone up over the years. I think when Lynn and I have actually started back in 1994, it was somewhere around $4,000, and now, as you know, it's around $25,000. Folks, it will always go up a little bit more as we add new services and new revenue streams for you as a licensee of our company. But you can lock in that price if you want to by just simply, like Eric said, basically starting to make payments towards the license, and that will lock in that price so that it doesn't go up. Hey, one other thing there, Eric, on that slide that you just had up there, I wanted to mention credit cards. Folks, that site that you see there, creditcards.com, is a good source for zero interest credit cards. You can go there, and if you don't have any credit cards, but you have some sort of credit, you just can apply for a dozen of those credit cards all at one time online. And the chances are that you will get 1 or 2 credit cards, even with some bad credit, because there are credit card companies out there who are desperate for customers and who do want to issue. Now, they may not have $25,000 limits on the card, but there might be enough there to help you put together the funds. Sure. So anyway, those are just all options. I've used those in the past, like I said myself, and I recommend that you do whatever it takes to get a business started, whether it's this one or some other business.
Oh, now we're going to start moving in some areas. I think it's really going to start touching base with our particular industry. And that is, a lot of people, Patrick, come up to us and say, well, I don't have an education or a business experience or any background in some of these things I'm going to be putting up here, like, posting of medical billing, posting of the medicine field in and of itself, the EHR, whatever that is to some people, and then medical coding. I mean, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, if I don't have this education or I don't have this background, how am I going to be able to even do this type of business?
Well, that's real simple. We actually teach people step by step how to not just do medical billing, but to handle the entire revenue cycle for doctors. And that includes all sorts of things that you need to be educated on. Well, guess what? During the week down here in Texas, we go through this revenue cycle step by step and show you how that you can help doctors in every area from, as you can see there on the chart, receivables. We also help, of course, with his reimbursement from the insurance companies, electronic records, payment options from his patients, the coding that we mentioned earlier, and even the marketing, helping doctors to build their practice if they're lacking patients and want more patients. So it's not just education of a generic form like you would get if you went to a college course on business, folks. This is specific to the medical revenue cycle that you'll be helping doctors with as a medical billing company.
Right, and through that, as you can see here on the screen, Patrick, this is Jordan here at our office helping and doing some hands-on training right there. So again, I know that some of these, we're going to go through this today, and a lot of this has to do with training. And so as you can see here, you're going to get a full training workshop. And I think we just had a meeting that yesterday. I think that's even expanded from what we've had in the past, making sure that people have everything that they need to know about this particular background.
Yeah, and folks, you really you can't learn everything about this business. To be honest with you, in 5 days, even if you were there for 2 weeks, we still couldn't cover everything because there's just a lot to know about this industry. But what we've done is we've boiled it down to a turnkey system that in those 5 days while you're here in Texas, we're focused 8 hours a day. I mean, we're delving into this is not a rah-rah session of any kind, believe me. Once you are an ABS licensee, we're not going to ask you for any more money. We're not going to try to sell you anything else. Nobody comes in and gives talks to try to sell you on anything else. What we're going to do is literally give you every tool you need to be successful right out of the chute, meaning when you leave on Friday, that following week, you can start putting into practice what we've taught you to get clients. Now, again, there's always ongoing learning. Eric, how many hours of training is there out there on our private website for licensees?
Wow.
I don't know.
It would take weeks to go through,
Yeah.
literally. And we're always updating those. So as soon as you get through it one, there's going to be another there. And in fact, I think I even put one up from last week that there was a new training session that was recorded on simply some new techniques on using the proposal. So even though that we may have training modules up there anyway, we're always updating those. And so that licensee support site, besides just the training, is where you go to get that education or that background. One other thing, let's talk about this, and I don't think we've got this scheduled to talk about today, but let's not forget the 20 years of experience with ABS. Why don't you, before we go to the next topic here, why don't you talk about what happens when they become an ABS licensee and how all of a sudden they do have all this experience all at one time?
Yeah, not only did we learn how not to do marketing, for example, to doctors, believe me, I spent a lot of time and money trying to figure out the right way to get past the gatekeeper if you need to the doctor, him or herself, and to present it in such a way that it doesn't sound like you're selling anything. We teach you to be a consultant. And so we learned all of that, and we've passed that on to people and developed those techniques. But then we go way beyond that and actually bring in licensees like you see here on the screen. This is Cynthia Anderson. She has actually been a licensee now for 5 years, and she's built a very successful medical billing business out in the Phoenix area. And she comes in, we fly her in and pay her to do the training during the week. So you're hearing from somebody who's actually out there in the field building their business just like you will be.
Exactly. And which is going to lead to our next section here is about the technical aspect of the business. Now, Patrick, this has got to be one of the biggest concerns that we hear outside of what we did last week, which was why do people fail in the medical billing business? Once people have gotten over that hump and they're starting to move forward, Wow, Patrick, what about these codes and everything? This whole technical aspect of the bat
This
of
probably scares more people than anything, these codes, because they've heard, oh gosh, they know there's thousands of codes for the diagnostic codes, they're called. And then you've got, of course, the procedure codes that the doctor uses to get paid from the insurance companies. And there are thousands of them, and they're revised constantly. In fact, there's a whole new set of them coming out in next year, October 1st of next year, the ICD-10 codes there that you're illustrating. So this is the hard part to get across to people, because they think that because there's courses at a local college or online that you can take to do medical billing and coding, they're usually put together, medical billing and coding, that you have to know all those codes. Folks, the
right,
neat thing is that our system is so leading edge that we've built those codes in. Our system has the codes ready inside of it right now, as you can see from these screenshots, where we're referencing the actual codes themselves that you will be able to pass on to the doctor. Or if the doctor is involved with our electronic health records system, EMRX, they will be able to just find those codes right there on the application, tap a button, and the codes go through. So you don't have to know any of those codes at all. In fact, you can look them up by code number, by words, like he's showing there, fracture. You tap fracture in and look at all the codes that showed up there for a fracture. So you don't
you
have
know,
to know the codes. Now, the doctor is the one who needs to tell you that, oh, I saw this patient for a fracture. Well, that's about all you need to know to find the codes that, that you can suggest to the doctor. Or if they're using the system, they don't have to worry about it. There they all are right there. They just pick the one that applies, because
one
that's
of
how
the
they get
things that
paid.
I was even able to do this yesterday, and I know that we're going to talk about this in a little bit more along the lines of helping maybe a family member or spouse to kind of understand this business. But yesterday I did a demo for someone who actually is a certified professional coder. And her concern was, again, these codes. And I actually took her through the demo of our EMRX platform. And I showed her, Patrick, how when the doctor is first to see the patient, find out what's wrong with that particular patient, and then does the physical exam. And as that doctor's charting that in the system will actually give the doctor the codes, the proper codes. Now, as Patrick said, the doctor can literally type in fracture and pull up all these different codes, or again, the system will actually provide the proper codes for the doctor. It's amazing
It
that
is.
we're at that level.
When we do a live demo, and Eric, you've done many of these, of course, for doctors. Uh, Really, their mouths just drop open. They're just wow. They've never seen anything as leading edge as this, because it really does help them get their work done and get paid as they should.
Right. And if this is still a struggle, the great thing about being a part of American Customs is that we actually have people,
Yeah.
people that can actually help. And Janet Weiler is one of those certified professional coders, and she would be available to any of our licensees that if they had a doctor that needed help as well.
Right.
And
Uh,
then you tell us a little bit about Terrence Patterson and his background and what he does.
Terrence has a degree in medical health administration. I mean, he is a very smart guy, has worked with hospitals, and knows all about the medical field, the healthcare field. He's also on our advisory board and helps licensees when they have questions about marketing, because he has figured out how to build his own medical billing business himself through our techniques, and passes those things on to others through coaching sessions, which we'll talk about a little bit later too. And then,
Exactly.
Eric, you found Dr. Combest down in San Antonio,
That's
and he's
correct.
basically still in practice, but is also
Right.
looking to get out of the clinical side of medicine and into what she calls the money side. That's the
Yeah, there you
business
go.
side of billing.
So, folks, even though, and this is just a sampling of folks that can actually help you with any of the technical aspects of the business, everything from coding to marketing and administration inside of that doctor's office, all the way to what really a doctor thinks about on that technical aspect. So, folks, we really sort of do have that particular covered, that area covered. Again, Patrick, I think we're pacing just greatly this afternoon because we're right at the bottom of the hour. We're at number 5. So let's talk about that fear or that excuse people say that they like to have security having a real job.
Well, I learned that that's not necessarily true back in the late 80s when I worked for Apple Computer, and they brought me into a little room one day and said, we're downsizing. And I didn't quite understand what that meant, but it did mean that I was losing my job. I knew that. And so I'm sure a lot of people have faced that. In this economy, unemployment is just raging right now. And so, folks, there is no real security. Look at this quote that we have coming up here from the CEO, co-founder of Pareto Systems, Duncan McPherson. He says, working for a traditional corporation has become the risky option. Now let that sink in. If you work for the traditional corporation that's out there, folks, that's the risky thing in today's world. Working for yourself, he says, has become the new job security. And folks, that's really your only security in life is your ability to maintain and produce in some way. And your boss is only paying you what it takes to keep you there, the very minimum.
Exactly.
So you don't really have any security. You could get that pink slip any day, just like I did. And then this one, I love this quote here, Robert Kiyosaki. Eric, I don't know if you've read some of his books, but it's pretty popular author, multi-million-dollar guy, and he says the number one thing people can do to increase their wealth. Now, this is from a multi-millionaire. He says the number one thing you can do to increase your wealth is to start a part-time business. Now, why part-time? Because, folks, it doesn't matter. With our business, you can build this part-time. We'll show you how to do that. We've had licensees do that outside of a 40, 50-hour work week and still build a business. Look, what if it took you a year or even 2 years to build your business and have something solid that you can just at some point give that notice to your boss, walk away from that job, and then be in control of your life? It doesn't matter. You need to start some business, whether it's this one or some other business, right now so that you're ready for that time when that pink slip does show up.
Exactly. And again, Patrick, you have several books there, in your bookshelf as well that would tell people to go start their own type of job. And I mean, that's why people are here on the webinar today. And those that will be listening to this later on, I think everybody really truly understands that having a job that you go to work Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, that's truly not the security that most Americans want nowadays. If they
I was just looking for the book that you referenced earlier in one of the slides there. It's by Entrepreneur Magazine on a startup business, how to start your own medical billing business. They recommend that as one of the many businesses that are out there that you could start up. And we're mentioned in that book as the business opportunity company that has a package that they recommend. There's one other company listed in there, Eric, but they're out of business now. I've seen about a dozen companies go out of business. That's why we're kind of proud of the fact that we've been around for 20 years. We kind of know what we're doing.
All right. Talking about that, everybody's thinking about the American dream. They're all thinking about, okay, if I know I can, there's a possibility that I can work for myself. Now, what industry has the best future? And I know that through some of our meetings that we've had in the past, and I know Adam has done this, we've all kind of done this, we've all seen other types of business opportunities and franchise opportunities out there. So as I kind of start putting these up on the screen, you go ahead and start talking about what some of the things you've seen also as well.
Yes, we know that most of the people on this webinar probably have been looking at not just our business, but a lot of different businesses that are out there. The question you have to ask yourself is that industry a growth industry? Is it going to be around a while? Here's some that we found. Hangover helpers, party cleaners. I'm supposing that means that you go into somebody's home who had a party with a bunch of drunk people and you clean up the vomit. That's all I could figure out what that's all about.
It is.
Not that there's not a need for that out there, and it may be a growth industry, but it's not something I'd want to get involved in. Bed bug barrier. What is that, Eric? I guess you go into people's beds.
That's a business opportunity that you can go help
get rid of
hotels.
bed bugs?
Hotels get rid of the bed bugs.
Hey, I'm sure that that's a very a growth industry. Insects are multiplying like crazy out there. Dental fix. Now, what is this? I can't imagine.
This is fixing dentures.
Well, that's hey, the baby boomer industry. That's probably a growth industry right there.
It may be. It may be one of the bigger ones. And then you've got the Splash and Dash, which is a, uh, a grooming and boutique for your animals. And
Dogs. Yeah.
certainly, we're not knocking these. There's probably people that out there that are really making they're doing their American dream with it. We know that. But what we want to talk about here in real facts is what is the real projected growth in the industry? That's really what we need to look at. Whether it's and we really need to look at the sectors that that are really being followed out there, and certainly the whole medical field is one of those. And Patrick, I found this one today, and I was kind of explaining this to you earlier that it shows here the expected growth of all professionals between 2010 and 2020 is going to be at about a 14% growth. And what they did out of this particular one, they sectored out of that, out of the professional portion of it, just simply medical records and health information technicians. That actually outgrows all of the professions.
That's that's incredible. That's of course the field that we're involved in.
Right.
And folks, again, when you're looking to get into a business, the bars should be going up, and this one's definitely a growth industry for sure. In fact,
Yeah.
it's a $25 billion industry there.
Right. And like you said before, this is over billing, $3 billion of insurance claims. So that 25 billion is spent in processing over 3 billion insurance claims. Folks, that is a huge portion of making this uh, industry very solid for the future. This is another magazine. This is HBMA Billing, and you found this article, and I'm gonna let you talk about this one here as well.
Yeah, this magazine is, by the way, the Healthcare Billing and Management Association magazine. It's an industry a magazine that's out there for, again, people in the billing industry, for doctors. That's how big this is, folks. They have their own magazine. This is just one of them. And I've had articles published in this magazine as well. And look, this one was the headline is where is this industry headed? Where's our industry headed? Well, look at this chart. I thought this was real interesting. Look, on the left side, you see the big black circle there. This is the broad revenue cycle management and technology opportunity that's in healthcare. $73 billion projected for this year. The physician medical billing is $9 billion of that, just the billing, the medical billing. Then, if you pull that apart, on the right-hand side, you see that half of that is for hospital-based billing, and the other is the office-based physician billing. Now, even though you'll be able to offer some of our services to hospitals, mostly you'll be doing billing for individual office-based physicians. And guys, that's where we get $4.5 billion in just the billing side of this alone.
Yeah, that's a pretty big chunk of money. I mean, when you see the full revenue cycle management and technology opportunity, break it down, slice it in half, that's still $4.5 billion. That Patrick, that's a
Yeah, Eric,
huge
see that little white line going through that circle on the right? If that were a
right.
slice of this pie, that would be more than you need to live very, very comfortably. So you don't need but
Ex-
just a little bitty tiny slice of that big pie.
exactly. And then Entrepreneur 2013, they had an article in that magazine called Big Ideas, in which they were talking about medical services and business service industries, which really that's where we find ourselves in the business service providers and in the medical services. And those two top categories are the biggest in revenue in billions.
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away by that. Look at that. That outdoes technical stuff, health information technology consulting there at the bottom, staffing, which is huge industry in and of itself, and even pharmaceuticals, pharmacies. Our services, the business services for providers like medical billing, is projected to be a huge growth there during that period of time.
All right, so let's get to this next one here, which is talking about just where we find ourselves. Are we too young or are we too old to get started in a business?
We've
I tell
actually
you
heard
what,
that.
we
We've heard that.
probably ought to put our kids to work and do the billing side of it. I think they can probably get through this better than we can.
They're probably smarter. That little kid on the left probably knows more than the guy on the right. But the point is, we have heard this excuse though from people who've come to us and said, "Well, am I too young?" You know, we've had kids just right out of college or not even completed college yet that
Right.
have been successful in our business. And then, of course, we have a lot of retired people who come to us and say, "Look, I can't find a job, so I'm going to start my business. But am I too old to get started in this? Can I learn this? Is it that hard?" And so, Eric, look at here. He's come up with some of the pictures of some of our classes that have graduated. This one just happened to be a good selection because on the far left you see a guy that's probably in his 20s, and then on the far right you see a lady that's probably a grandmother. I'm just guessing here, but the point is we have people from every nationality, every background, every educational background, every financial strata, and every age group. It doesn't matter, folks. Again, that is just an excuse. Here's another shot of another class. Yeah, see, you'll see some folks that have gray hair in that picture as well, and then some young folks as well. Here's another class. So, folks, again, if we took snapshots of all of our classes and showed them to you, you would see this is true. That it doesn't matter what age you are, or even what nationality or background you have. Lots of people can be successful in this business. Why? Because you have us. We have 20 years of experience. We're holding your
Right.
hand through the whole process.
Exactly. As we kind of wrap up, we're going to get to 8, 9, and 10, and I'd say like these are becoming sort of the top three here.
I love that dog. Okay, so my family, friend, spouse, and dog is not supportive and won't let me start a business. So, folks, that is important in today's world that you do need support from somebody, especially your spouse, right? We all agree there. And the nice thing is that we have a way of actually showing and helping you to show your spouse or partner the advantages of this. Eric, why don't you tell them about what we can actually do for them if
Yeah,
they want us to?
absolutely. And actually, I'm going to take it to three big chunks here. First of all, you as a potential licensee or getting into this business, you may find this that you're ready to shoot out of the gates here, but maybe you got a spouse or a partner or anybody, the family member that's just trying to hold you back and saying, "Man, I don't think you ought to do that." We're here to help you and support you. So we'll be happy to schedule a demo as we're demonstrating on the screen right now. And that's something that we can do for you to help them understand that this is a real business. Because Patrick, a lot of people are going to say, aren't don't doctors already have a system? Don't they already? How am I going to get these doctors? Uh, Again, we've already talked about there's no background, there's nothing like that. And through these demos, we're actually showing you and them that this is what we do for you after you become a licensee. So we're here helping promoting. So that's one big section of it. We can always just do a demo for you as well. But the third part of it is truly out of any type of demo that we ever do for you and or for a family member or a spouse or a partner is to simply show you again the system and then also greater to show you this is what we do for you to help you get your doctors. So you don't have to answer all the questions. Patrick, I've done these demos with doctors that were plastic surgeons, that were podiatrists, that were orthopedic surgeons, family practitioners. We could go down the list. There's not a doctor I don't think we've done a demo for. So um, that's very very important. And I know Patrick, we've kind of talked about this in other webinars as well. Looking at us online, talking with us over the telephone, even doing just going through all the videos and the brochure, folks, this is the most tangible thing that we can get you and place in your hands before you get to training. Would you agree to that, Patrick?
Yeah, and it's a live demo. I mean, we're really online in our system. Now, it's not live data because we can't show you a patient's information, but It is over the internet being shown live. And folks, there's nothing like this. Your spouse or business partner who you set this up with and let us show this to them will be blown away. If they have any questions about whether this is a gimmick or a scam or not a real business, they will be blown away when they see this, because they'll see that we put a lot of time and money into the technology to be able to do the things that you do for doctors.
Exactly. So hopefully excuse number 8 can be dealt with, and we can certainly help you with that. Now, come to 9. Let's talk about competition, Patrick, because again, competition always comes up. How am I going to deal with those competitors out there? And I guess talking about competition, one of the things that gets asked, well, I'm a brand new licensee, I'm just by myself. How am I going to compete with the big guys out there?
Yeah, because if you think about it, folks, most of our licensees still work out of their home. That is, they have not gone out and rented an office. Now, some of them have, but just a handful compared to the number of licensees we have. Why? Because the doctors don't come and visit you. They don't care how big you are. What we're going to do is provide you the tools so that in the marketplace, you look to be much bigger than your competitors. And we do that with some of the tools that you'll see coming up here. Instead of
So,
having the server-based software like all your competitors will have, you're going to have our cloud-based system that allows you and the doctor and the staff to access it from any internet-connected device in the world, 24/7.
now,
Of course,
Patrick, before you go into there, you were talking with a licensee today that just
yes,
won a pretty big 5 doctor practice, I believe,
right.
that was using a server-based software. Why don't you talk about that? Because we're not bashing anybody. What we're doing is trying to show you of what actually occurred. Tell everybody how this guy got this whole account.
The neat story here, by the way, the licensee's name is Mark. He's right here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I hadn't talked to him since he came through training last year, or maybe it was the early part of this year. And he said, Pat, I just signed my second account. It's 5 doctor practice. And I said, well, how did you do that? He said, well, I just dropped by like you teach us to and said the right things that you tell us to say, picked up their business card, and they said, no, we're fine. We've got our own medical billing system. It's Metasoft, which is a very popular server-based software that's out there, and it's been around for years and years. And they said, we're happy with this. So he said, okay. Then he did what we teach people to do, and that is we put him on an automatic follow-up system that continued to contact that doctor with actual literal cards that come in the mail to the doctor, and this, in this case, the office manager, that reminded them of all the features that we have in our system. Guess what? After several months, this doctor's office called Mark up just last week and said,
Right.
get over here and give us a demo of your system. We're using a server-based software that they want thousands of dollars to upgrade it. It has all kinds of bugs, and we're just sick and tired of it. We want to see what you've got. And they did that because of our automated follow-up system. So, short story, they actually had a demo from 2 other companies besides Mark, saw our system and said, there's no other choice but yours. And they went with
Right.
it, signed the
Yeah.
contract.
So there's a great comparison and a great story that was just actually talked about today. Then not only do you have a web-based system to work with, but Patrick, again, like you said, all the different services that you do as an ABS licensee are able to offer to those doctors.
Yeah, it's not just medical billing that will get you the accounts, folks. It's being able to solve every revenue cycle challenge that that doctor's office has. And with the other services that you'll have as an ABS licensee, you will have a huge competitive edge. Eric, when people come to our live training workshop, they don't quite grasp that, do they? Until they go through the workshop. Then it
No.
dawns on them, they see all the advantages of having the marketing, the live demos, the lifetime support that we give to them. We've had all the contracts already worked out with our attorneys. The training is there, ongoing training, even after the week's training here. All the tools and proposals that we help promote, the one-on-one coaching system that we have now, guarantees success of everybody who comes through that training.
Exactly. And so again, and that's your competition. And one last thing here before we move off of this one, folks, your biggest competition is not necessarily another medical billing company. It truly
Right.
is the doctor, as Mark kind of saw over the last few weeks or the last few months. It was really the doctors that was his competition. They were doing their billing in house, but yet through his persistence and the marketing techniques that we teach of what we do, the drip marketing campaigns, all of that landed him that big opportunity, which is the demo. And once the demo was done, folks, we're able to get the doctor. There's just no doubt. We do know that's it. And Patrick, the last one here, as we kind of get ready to kind of wrap up. All right, so what if I invest and it doesn't work for me?
Yeah, and folks, that's the biggest fear people have in any business, not just ours. What if I start this business, invest all this money and time into it, and then it won't work for me? Well, folks, we tell people, and this sounds kind of cliche, but our system works if you work the system. It's just that simple. The only people who ever fail in our business, as we pointed out in our webinar last week, are people who start in the business doing what we tell them to do and then change it and try their own methods, for example. Or they simply just give up after a few tries and say, well, this is just not going to work. We know the system works. We have too many people from every background and age group and ethnicity out there that have been successful in the business. So what makes the difference? The only difference is that some people would get stuck on some of those questions that come up in their brain. Well, why would a doctor use me? Don't they already have a biller? Don't they already have an EMR, electronic medical record system? What if I don't get a doctor? What do I do? So we finally came up with a solution for that. And one of the things that we do, I mentioned it earlier, is our one-on-one coaching program. Now, folks, this means that we will get online with you. We usually do it through a video conferencing with you and coach you and handhold you through the process of getting your first client. So if you've gone out and tried some of the things we teach in our class, for example, and it just doesn't seem to be working for you, your next step is to get a coach. And these pictures, of course, are showing me on here with some of the licensees, but we have many of our licensees who we actually pay to be coaches. So people who've already been successful themselves are teaching you exactly what they did to be successful and getting that accountability from you that some people lack.
And then talking about the training class as well, I think the reason we've got this up here because it's leading into, again, we've talked about the tangibleness of this business. We want you to get here. We want you to have your hands on it. Certainly, we can do that demo, that live demo, doing the go-to meeting, but we want you to get to class and then go through this class, get your hands on it, because Patrick, why don't you let's kind of help bring that fear of about that particular investment, about the training class in of itself, as you have talked about here at the end of the training workshop.
Well, first of all, let's address the fear that we're talking about here because it is a real fear. People sometimes invest a lot of money into our business and time, and they're afraid that if they invest that money and don't succeed at it, then of course they feel like a failure, and they would be a failure in front of their spouse and their friends and everybody else. So we tell people the only way you can know for sure if this is the right decision for you is to go ahead and take that plunge and send your investment in, get the paperwork done, arrange to come down to our training, and sit through the actual training class. Now, that may seem like a backwards way of doing it, but folks, we don't know how to convey the reality of what you're going to see until you see it. Once you've seen it, if for some reason at the end of our training you decide this is not something that you thought it was, it's just not right, you feel uneasy about any aspect of it, all you need to do is to ask any one of my staff members, and we'll arrange to make sure that you get a full 100% refund of every penny that you paid to us. Now, how can we do that as a company? Well, the only way we could do it is if we if we know what we have. And we're pretty sure that people are not going to ask for their money back, right? Because we could have a whole class full of people at the end of the week they ask for their money back. We haven't made a dime. That just doesn't happen. Within the 20 years that we've been doing this, we've only had 3 people come to the training and for one reason or another ask for their money back. 3 folks in 20 years. That should tell you that the odds are that you're going to love what you see, you're going to be convinced that it is for real, and that you'll want to go out and build your business. So that's the best guarantee that I know. I don't know of any other company that would let you do that, but we do it because we have lots of folks who are successful, and you can talk to some of those people if you want to, right, Eric?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so we've got a few minutes, and I think we timed this just right, Patrick. We got about 5 more minutes to the webinar. Sometimes we kind of run it right up at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
But there are some questions that have come in, and we're going to start off with the first one up here with Sala. And Sala typed in a question early on, and he's asking the question, do the technology partners of like iClaim and EMRx, do they sell the software directly to the doctors? First answer that question, and then we'll take a second part of this question.
All right, so let me make sure that everybody is clear what Salah is asking here. We partner, we're not the technology partner, folks. We have partnered with technology partners who've developed all of the different systems that we train you to go out and use to help the doctor. Now, one of those, of course, is the actual billing system itself. So Salah is asking, I think here, do we actually sell that directly to the doctors themselves? The answer is no. The reason I can say that is because we have our own version of software that only our ABS licensees have access to. You've seen the names of them during the webinar here. iClaim is the billing system, and EMRx is the actual medical record system. So folks, you're the only ones in the whole United States that have the ability to sell that system to a doctor. It's private labeled for you as an ABS licensee. And the pricing is less than what our technology partner has sold under a different name to doctors in the past. So you never have to worry about the competition there, because with our volume that we bring to our technology partners, we get very special pricing on that. I love the way he put it there. He said that's excuse number 9. In other words, he was just coming up with an excuse before we even started. But I happen to know that Salah is on his way to training this month, so thanks for asking that question, Salah.
Exactly. Doris is asking a question about that she took a medical billing course, but now how do I become an ABS licensee?
Well, so I'm assuming, Doris, that you mean that you've gone and taken some course, maybe at a local college or trade school, on how to do medical billing and or coding. And there's nothing wrong with that. As we've pointed out during the webinar, that's not something you absolutely have to have, because our system has all those codes built into it. But it certainly doesn't hurt if someone's taken a course of some kind and you need to then find out, how do I actually start going out and building my own medical billing business? That's where you become an ABS licensee. It's very simple. You go to our website, which is absystems.com, and you go through the little yellow, green, they're orange buttons there on the screen that you click one of those and fill out a little form, and we'll send you through what we call our virtual brochure that will guide you step by step through every aspect of what our business is all about, and then lead you to the conclusion of getting the agreement from us and funding, and then coming down here for training. We'll walk you through that step by step.
Exactly. And I'm gonna skip over down. She actually asked one more question, so we'll stay on Doris here just real quickly. But she's asking, does she need to get a business plan together to get a loan for this particular business?
Well, if you don't have the funds available to you right now to invest, and you do need to find funding for it, then yes, you may need to get to put together what's called a business plan. And your ABS rep, if you'll call us, we can actually give you a sample plan that people have used in the past to present that to a financial institution.
Okay, Scott is asking a question about getting doctors, and hopefully, Scott, I'll read this question as best I can. And he says, my concern is how many people are trying to get the doctor's business. And I would assume that's going to be in billing, because the doctor is going to have a lot of people getting their trying to bid for their business, but very particular in medical billing. And they're probably overwhelmed with so many different types of solutions. That is correct. So There are bigger corporations out there that do market to those doctors. So basically, how does anyone get business from these doctors, Patrick?
Well, that's why you need to come down to our workshop because we have figured out over the last 20 years how to have the foot up, so to speak, in going to a doctor and educating them. I'll give you a hint. We don't do normal, typical solicitation, what you think of as sales. What we teach people to do is become a educational consultant to the doctor, consulting and educating the doctor on the need for your products and services. Once somebody sees a need, they'll come to you. And so I don't know how to put that into words, in an answer to a question like that, other than to say we have figured that out. And there
Right.
is a huge reason why our licensees are successful and other people who've tried to start their own medical billing business have not been. In fact, Eric, we've had people who have a medical billing business who've bought our license and come to us because they did not know how to build the business and how to
Exactly.
market it
Yep.
to
That's
doctors.
true. Uh, I'll take this one for Celeste. Sorry. Uh, can you train two people for one license? Yes. If you want to come and you've got a business partner, there is a little bit of an additional fee. Certainly not the 25,000. So please check with your ABS rep, and they'll help you with that and get that arranged. And especially if we've got room, be more than happy to do that. Last two questions here, Patrick. This one's from Randy. He says, "This sounds like a franchise. What is it?"
Why isn't it?
Well, why isn't it?
Well, it isn't a franchise because of several reasons. When we modeled the company 20 years ago, we had a choice. We could have franchised it, and that means then you are locked in to doing things exactly the way we tell you to do it. You have no choice in the matter as a franchise or a franchisee. You're also limited on territories. You have to buy your products and services from us. With our licensing situation, Randy, we allow our licensees to add other products and services from other companies, for example. You wouldn't be able to do that as a franchisee. We allow you to sign up doctors anywhere in the in the United States, period, even Alaska and Hawaii.
That's
Why?
right.
Because we don't want to limit your growth, and you will get referrals from doctors in your local area to doctors outside your local area. So there's no franchise territories. And lastly, there's no franchise fees. Once you've paid our initial licensing fee of 25,000, that point you never pay ABS another penny, and that's unusual, I know, but it's because we make a few pennies on all of our transactions from our technology partners on the back end. So you're not paying us a percentage of your gross like you would a franchise. Uh, Goodness, some franchises are 7 to 8% right off the top every month of your gross revenue.
There you go. And Randy says thanks. He said it makes a lot of sense. And this last one, Ken's asking who does the demos, and Ken, we do the demos. Sometimes we've got 4 or 5 people that actually will do the demos, and it's us, and we're leading you, and we're helping you right through the whole situation here. So we're the ones that are conducting the demos for you and for your particular doctors. Patrick, as we kind of wrap up here, let's again remind people how they can follow us, where they can go. You can certainly come visit us on, we have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/ABS. And Patrick, you've got several little snippets up there that people can go through. That they can also watch some previous webinars and even some interviews there
Testimonials, yeah,
on our YouTube channel.
sure.
And uh, Adam, your son, the president of the company, takes care of our Twitter account. So, folks, if you're interested in following us on Twitter, to follow us there is AV Systems. There we send out articles and anything related to the medical billing field, very specifically about American Business Systems. And Patrick, why don't you talk about this one, because I think you just held up this book a little bit earlier. And
Oh, well, I
if they
tried
want
to find it. It's back here on my shelf somewhere, but there's a picture of it. Yeah, you can find this in any major bookstore or on Amazon. It's from Entrepreneur Magazine, which has been around for 30 years or more. And they put out a book on starting your own medical claims billing service. If you'd like to know just a little overview of it, it certainly won't get you started probably, but as you can see, we show this because in the back they have an appendix there, and a lot of resources. And one of the things is business opportunities. We're listed there as the company that they have, chosen to represent this industry that's out there. There was only one other company listed in there, and they're already out of business, Eric, since the book was published last year. So it happens.
Right. I love this thing right here. There's one more. Fred says, one more, please, one more question. So we'll squeeze this one in. And Fred, anytime anybody asks, please, to ask one more question, we'll do it. He says, Patrick, I looked at some recent bills, and it appears that there is a typical 10-day span between the date of service and the date claim received. Would I still approach the provider's time seem pretty quick? I think what he's asking is that the typicalness of our system?
So he's saying that there's a 10-day span between the date of service and the date the claim received. He doesn't mean the check received.
No, I don't think so. I think it's actually, well, again, Fred, we'll do what we can to kind of understand this question. But if you're asking from the time that the date is of service and then to when the claim is actually filed, yes, there are typically times where that does occur, but not with our system. We actually get that done pretty quickly. I mean, it can be the same day. He comes in here the day insurance companies receive the bill. Yeah, Patrick, real quickly, tell him about Cynthia and how some of her doctors, she's getting some of her doctors paid within 2 days.
Yeah, I thought that the record was we had a licensee who said that they sent the claim on Monday and the doctor had the money in their bank account on Friday. I thought that was the record. But no, Cynthia, the lady who comes down and teaches our classes at this point, she's actually gotten it within 2 days. Now, that's not typical. I would say, Eric, the average is probably closer to 2 weeks, but that's fast to actually get the money in the bank account of the doctor. Yes, the insurance company might receive that claim within a few days, but that doesn't mean they're going to pay it. It could sit in their offices for days and weeks sometimes. Correct. The average doctor out there is not getting paid within probably 45 days from the time the claim is actually sent.
That's right. All right, well, folks, put down this date here, May 19th through May the 23rd there. And if you can, I think, Patrick, we got just an update there that the class is filling up.